Hey, Frogprince Runner here, and thank you for dropping by. If I were to tell you that setting a wallpaper from a photo available on the internet can brick your mobile device, you might be thinking that it is just a clickbait comment, or maybe I'm just pulling your leg. I mean, it doesn't sound possible, right? Especially if you know how file data works. You justifiably say image files are not executable. How can it brick a system? Well, in this video, we'll talk about exactly why this happens. Being a programmer myself, I find it super fascinating, and maybe you will as well. We'll also discuss on how to mitigate such error. Very first thing is to establish is who is vulnerable. Good news for all the iPhone users, as this error only occurs on Android devices. May it be a mobile phone, tablet and such. Oh, one more thing to note. Android version 11 does solve this issue, but due to how device manufacturers work, most older devices has no easy way to upgrade installed Android, unless of course you're tech savvy to root your device and mess around to get a newer version. That being said, let's jump into the actual breaking. The first time I heard about this incident when Ice Universe, a leaker who focuses on Samsung products, tweeted about an image file that was causing some smartphones to crash. So this is the offending photo. Photographer Gaurav Agrawal shot the above image of the iconic St. Mary Lake in Glacier National Park, Montana, an otherwise prime subject for a phone's wallpaper. Finally, Agrawal has edited the shot in Lightroom and exported in the Pro Photo RGB format. I'll repeat this later as well. At this point, even if you take a screenshot of the image and save it as a wallpaper, you would be completely safe. But if you decide to actually download the image from Flickr and then set it as wallpaper, then may God have mercy on your mobile device. Now the obvious question is, what is so remarkable about this photo that would cause some devices to go belly up? Can you guess what it is? No? Well, let's zoom in a bit more. Can you see it yet? Spoiler alert, you can't. Let me show you the exact offending pixel. But do note that there might be other pixels like this, but this is the one I found. To understand this issue, first we need to talk about color profile, also known as Colorspaces. Now this is quite a complicated process with many different algorithms, but in this video, I'll keep it very basic. There is a link in description in case you want to read up more. First we have CIE Lab Colorspace, also referred to as LAB. It was defined by the International Commission of Illumination in 1976. It expresses color as three values: L for perpetual lightness, and A and B for the four unique colors of human vision: red, green, blue, and yellow. In simple terms, we can consider it as every possible color the human eye can perceive. So is the standard by which all other color spaces are compared. Next we have sRGB. It is a standard RGB color space that HP and Microsoft created cooperatively in 1996 to use on monitors, printers and the web. It was subsequently standardized by the International Electrotechnical Commission and is the current defined standard color space for the web. It is usually assumed color space for images that are neither tagged for a color space nor have an embedded color profile. On screen, we see that sRGB has a narrow gamut, as it is designed for consistency and compatibility. Next we have Adobe RGB 1998 color space, or OPRGB. It's a color space that is obviously developed by Adobe Systems Incorporation in 1998. It was designed to encompass most of the colors achievable on CMYK color printers, but by using RGB primary colors on a device such as a computer display. The Adobe RGB 1998 color space encompasses roughly 50% of the visible colors specified by the CIE Lab color space and has a wider gamut than sRGB. And finally, we need to talk about Pro Photo RGB, also known as Reference Output Media Matrix RGB. It is an output-referred RGB color space developed by Kodak. It offers an especially large gamut designed for use with photographic output in mind and encompasses over 90% of possible surface colors in the CIE Lab color space and 100% of likely occurring real-world surface colors documented by Michael Pointer in 1980. One of the downsides to this color space is that approximately 13% of the representable colors are imaginary colors that do not exist and are not visible colors. With all that out of the way, let's jump back to Android. Even though a lot of devices can handle a higher gamut than sRGB, most versions of Droid would convert any other type of profile into sRGB. And this is done using a method called relative luminance. So, relative luminance, where Y follows the photometric definition of luminance, L, including spectral weighting for human vision. But while luminance L is a measure of light in units, such as CD by m square, relative luminance Y values are normalized as 0.0 to 1.0, where 1.0 being a theoretical perfect reflector of 100% reference white. Now when it comes to digital data, this value range is 00 to FF, which is 0 to 255 in decimal. Y and L are both linear to changes in the volume of light. Conversions from color spaces where light or lightness are encoded with a power curve, such as most image and video formats, must be linearized before being transformed to Y or the XYZ space. Now, relative luminance can be calculated from linear RGB components. First, convert the gamma compressed RGB values into linear RGB. Then a simple formula is applied where Y is 0.2126 times R plus 0.7152 times G plus 0.0722 times B. The formula reflects the luminous efficiency function as green light is the major component of luminance, responsible for the majority of light perceived by humans, and blue light the smallest component. Thanks, evolution. Now back to our pixel. When we look at the RGB value, we have R as 255, G as 255, and B as 245. Now from Pro RGB, when it is converted to sRGB, we have Y equal to 0.2126 times 255 plus 0.7152 times 255 plus 0.0722 times 245, which brings us to 54.213 plus 182.376 plus 17.689. Total 254.278. So in theory it should be fine, as Y is less than maximum value of 255. But the code also rounds up individual components before adding those together, which means now the value becomes Y equal to 55 plus 183 plus 18 equal to 256. This is the part where the conversion fails. Now, if this was running from an application without any error handling, the application would basically exit with error. However, when it is set as a wallpaper, in a sense, it is the operating system that tries this conversion and fails, resulting into a soft brick. So why doesn't it crash when you are viewing the photo in its original color space? Well, either the application or viewer is not converting it or only rounding it up after the final sum, or simply has code handling to ensure that calculated value is within range. Furthermore, when a screenshot is taken, Android basically captures the screen using sRGB format before saving, thus ensuring the file is also saved in sRGB format. Takeaway from this lesson is, if you want to set an image as wallpaper, it is always safer to take a screenshot. Apart from color space, it would also be resized and saved in the correct resolution for your device display. Well, that sums it up for this video. Drop a like if you found this content interesting and worthwhile, as I sure did. If you want to be super awesome, please consider subscribing and so on. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated and helps with YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for watching. Wherever you are, have a safe day. Signing off.